Class, last week I made a video stating that I was very excited for some of the reprints that are coming into the future. At this point in time in Yu-Gi-Oh, it's a spot where Konami reprints some of those highly sought after, very expensive Yu-Gi-Oh cards to allow budget players to be able to actually play their game. Yeah, sometimes I do give them too much credit. Now that we have a full spoiler of Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem, today I'm going to be giving you a complete set review, talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and telling you guys while I don't think that Battles of Legends is a complete scam, why I have mixed feelings about it. Let's go ahead and jump on in. What's going on with y'all big dogs? And it is an amazing day for Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope that your day phenomenal. But if it isn't, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. I say that because genuinely, we're going to need a lot of that for this video. So Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem is supposed to kickstart our reprint season, giving us access to some of the most highly sought after Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And it does deliver. Kinda. We already had the confirmed reprint of Primite Lordly Load, which was amazing for Primite Yu-Gi-Oh players, but also getting Primite Aether Barrel as a reprint, as well as Primite Drill Beam as a rarity upgrade, was phenomenal. It was... They did their thing. Again, I am a firm believer of praising where praise is due. Those were some really expensive cards that players still need for their competitive Yu-Gi-Oh decks. And even though the rarities of both Primite Aether Barrel and Lordly Load are secret rare, this is a 2 rarity Yu-Gi-Oh set. Well, technically 3 rarity, but basically what I'm saying is that in this set, all cards either come ultra or secret rare. Now there are some opportunities for Starlight Rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and just as a quick reminder, we will no longer be receiving quarter century secret rares from here on out. So some of these cards are very much welcome. Being able to pick up cool alternate arts that are Starlight Rares to Yu-Gi-Oh cards like Gem Knight's Fusion and Necros of Trishula. Then there's also pretty powerful competitive Yu-Gi-Oh cards from old and new that have received the Starlight rarity like Necro Crypt Princess and Herald of Orange Light, all the way down to some nostalgic cards receiving Starlight rarity that are actually chibied versions. I mean, in actuality, all of the chibi version monsters will receive a Starlight rare. That goes for Blue Eyes White Dragon, Skull Servant, Elemental Hero Neos, Gores, Gearfried the Iron Knight, Honest, Galaxy Eyes, Photon Dragon, Dark Paladin, Junk Warrior, and Ojama Trio. Those are just some of the cards that will be receiving that Starlight rarity full link inside of Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem, and that's exactly what I think is really good about the set. Monsters Mayhem pretty much confirms that they're going to be continuing the trend that they've been doing for a few years now. Instead of making a booster set where there's one designated Starlight Rare card, you're gonna have access to be able to get multiple different Starlight Rare cards. Also, this more than likely means that Starlight Rare cards will be plentiful. I want you to think about the odds of getting a QCR card and just replace it with Starlight Rare. It makes QCR cards feel incredibly special because for those few years, those are the only times you could have ever gotten them, while also still continuing on the system and giving us a high rarity Yu-Gi-Oh card in place of some of our lower end cards. Or making the higher rarity lower end by giving a higher rarity. That's pretty much what they did. Now on this, I have to say 100% this is a great job. Because one thing that the Yu-Gi-Oh community has always wanted was a rarity model that is similar to the OCGs. For those most sought after Yu-Gi-Oh cards inside of a booster set, making a higher rarity of it to increase the odds of pulling it, but also giving Yu-Gi-Oh players a real chase card to deal with in the essence of rarity, not just effect. Monsters Mayhem does do that incredibly well, but here's where we start to get to our problems. Card prices. I want you guys to keep in mind, while Konami doesn't directly influence the price of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, over the past couple of years, there have been some really expensive, hard to get Yu-Gi-Oh cards that players need to be able to even play Yu-Gi-Oh. And I want to point out that while Konami doesn't necessarily control the exact price of a card, they control the rarity, which means they can control the supply and demand of the card, which is the reason why certain cards are at certain prices. Players are still waiting for reprints to cards like Cashtira Fenrir and the Bestial Lubellion. These cards were reprinted previously before, but because their reprints were in such a limited quality, their prices are still incredibly high. It was previously once thought that it was going to be fixed in the rarity collection sets, but out of the 5 rarity collection sets we've had, there hasn't been a single address to this issue. Now, the funny thing is that it would have made sense for Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem to be able to fix that Bestial issue. In the previous Battles of Legends set, Monsters Revenge, there was actually a reprint and an upgrade to the Bestial cards. The Bestial Lubellion received a quarter-century rare, which I'm still looking out for. I need my set. And Bestial Baldrake received an ultra rare upgrade. It made sense for Terminals Revenge to not have any Bestial monsters, seeing that it was based off of dual terminals, but Monster Mayhem having a similar lane would probably suggest different. I think it's only fair to say that Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem does a terrible job at giving us immediate returns on our reprints outside of the Primite cards, but it does do a pretty decent job at getting us reprints for the strategies that we need, as well as giving us reprints to cards that we may potentially need in the future. You see, class, I'm always peeping game, and one thing that I know about these Battles of Legends sets is that oftentimes they foreshadow what is going to happen in the future. In our last Battles of Legends set, we got Ice Jade, Jimmer, Agrine, and well-timed Ritual Beast reprints. In this particular Battles of Legends set, we got some really good reprints to cards that were fairly expensive, and some upgrades to some Yu-Gi-Oh strategies that are deserving. For example, Dragon Maid finally getting Parlor Dragon Maid and Kitchen Dragon Maid as ultra rares readily accessible is huge. In this particular situation, it could be considered as both. It's an upgrade to the super rare Dragon Maid cards that we would get off of Mystic Fighters, and it's also a reprint because Parlor was around $19 and Kitchen were $30 a pop. There's also the Orcus monsters, which are all getting reprints as ultra rares. That's pretty good. The same thing can also be said for the Punk and Gem Knight monsters, but there's still a little bit of confusion inside of the set. Like how we got the Dragon Ruler monsters as reprints, after already receiving the Dragon Ruler monsters as reprints a couple months ago. This is one of the most weirdest reprints. Forbidden Droplet is a welcomed addition, seeing that the super rares were starting to become $5 a copy, but cards like Triple Tactics Talent, when it's limited to one and we have an abundance of resources in that card, and Artifact Lancia are disappointing. The longer I look at this Battles of Legends set, the angrier it makes me, because it does some things completely right, and then other things it's like, what are we doing? And while Konami may have your attention getting the ball right and wrong at points in times, one thing that you can never go wrong with is buying Raven Wing sleeves. That's right, big dog. Raven Wing is your best go-to guys, your buddies. These are the #1 Yu-Gi-Oh sleeves that I have been using for about 5 years. And the best part about them is that they are also some of the cheapest sleeves on the entire market. So big dogs, make sure you go to TheCaliEffect.com and pick up your sleeves today. And I probably shouldn't even be telling you about them because version 3 is almost out of stock. I might have to keep some for myself. So if for some reason by the time this video reaches you and you check them out and they might be sold out, you can always consider purchasing some other accessories like our mats. I promise you, they are fire. Now, the success of Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem comes down to one thing and one thing only. How good is the support inside of the set? Every Yu-Gi-Oh strategy that was reprinted inside of this booster set has received support. In fact, the common theme is for strategies to receive at least 2. Dragon Maid is getting Lady Dragon Maid and Dragon Maid Stern. These cards are going to allow Dragon Maid to actually be a functional Yu-Gi-Oh strategy. With Orcus getting a new Link 4 and Galatea I a new Link 1, this may be the strongest strategy inside of the set, possibly even one of the strongest decks in the format. Punk gets Rising Scale and Jam Fever, and this is a really strong strategy when mixed with Fiendsmith. Then there's Necros, DDD, Gem Knights, and Magistus. I'm pretty confident that at least one of these strategies is going to be really strong, with a couple of others boosting themselves far into competitive relevancy. And let's not forget about Jirax, my boy. Jirax, my boy. Dinos, my boy. Battles of Legends Monster Mayhem may severely lack when it comes to reprints, giving us good cards that we need. I mean, outside of the Primite cards, if you consider Wool Labyrinth as the card that you must have in your deck, I think it's pretty disappointing in that area. But what it can make up for is some of the reprints that we've received for our Yu-Gi-Oh strategies inside of the set, especially if they're viable. In fact, I can actually get behind the direction that these Battles of Legends sets are going to be, only if these strategies are successful on a competitive level. But overall, I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about Battles of Legends Monsters Mayhem. If I were giving this set a rank, it would easily be a 5 out of 10 for a reprint Yu-Gi-Oh set, but potentially a 6 or a 7 depending on how strong the strategies actually become. I think initially, since there's going to be a lot of doubt with these Yu-Gi-Oh strategies, it would be a better tactic to buy singles, but as time goes on, it might be a more effective strategy to buy booster boxes, which means in the opening release, if you did buy booster boxes of this set, you may actually wind up making out. But again, let me know what you guys' thoughts are down below in the comment section. And be sure, students, to go to TheCaliEffect.com to pick up your accessories today. As always, guys, I hope you're having an amazing day. And be sure to check out these videos so I can catch you on the next one.